Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to this project. We are working on the Frilly Fun mini album, which some of us have cut on our silhouettes. If not, if you don't have one, no worries. It can be cut on a paper trimmer if you've got that, or with scissors. This is the finished album and this is the one that we're working on. We've finished all of the pages, so today we're going to put the cover together. Now, the guide for this album with all the cutting measurements, the templates, etc. is on my Etsy shop, The Quiet Cat Paper Co., which you can find a link to down below. So let me set that aside and show you where we're at. There's our pages. Let me set those aside. Now, the one piece that I could not cut on my silhouette because it doesn't cut 12 inches wide is this piece, which is 6.5, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, 6.5 by 12. Now you can put a 12-inch piece on your cutting mat, but it won't cut all the way to 12. So if you want, you could partially cut it, but it's just as easy, or easier really, to throw it on your paper trimmer and cut it. And then this is going to be the inside lining piece, and this we did cut as part of the cutting on the silhouette, but you can cut that also separately. Then we have two pieces of Tyvek that are 4.5 by 4.5, and you can cut this on your silhouette. And then these are the two pieces of cardboard that I'm using, and they're 4.5 by 4 3/8. This is a cereal box, and I did cut this on my silhouette. However, obviously it's very easy to cut with a paper trimmer as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's our base piece. Now, I don't know if you can see or not because this paper is so dark, but what I've done to get started is I drew an inch, a 1 inch, okay, let me start that again. I drew a line 1 inch up from the bottom all the way across. Then in the middle, and this is a centering ruler, so it's easy, but any ruler would tell you 6 inches is going to be the middle of 12. You want to draw two lines 1.5 inches apart, so that's 3/4 from the zero on each side. The easiest way to do it for me is to just go ahead and draw one of those lines. This ruler is 1.5 inches wide, so I just laid it up against that line, drew the other line. Okay, so we have a line 1 inch up from the bottom, and then two lines 1.5 inches apart, centered. You don't have to be super, super crazy accurate with this. They're just to help you line up your pieces, okay? Then what's going to happen is you have two pieces here, and they are 4.5 inches tall by 4 3/8 inches wide. Okay, so you want to put the 4.5 up and down, and the 4 3/8. See how this one's a little taller if you turn it? So that needs to go that way. Okay, and they're going to go there. And the spine doesn't get any chipboard, but it does get reinforced with the Tyvek. All right, so let's start with the Tyvek, the first piece of Tyvek. And I'm going to put a piece of double-sided tape as here all the way around the perimeter of this piece of Tyvek. And actually that needs to happen on both pieces of Tyvek and the cardboard. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we have this. All these pieces have their double-sided tape, and now I'm going to remove the backing from the tape and use my liquid adhesive, which is Fabri-Tac, on the inside, okay? Now, if you're working with scraps of Tyvek, you can use a piece that is less wide than 4.5, which is what I'm using, but it does need to be 4.5 inches tall, and it needs to be at least, I would say, this is 1.5, and you want to have a good 1/2 inch on either side, so it needs to be a minimum of 2.5 inches wide, but 3 or 4 would be better. But if you're working with scraps and that's all you have, you can do that. And I am almost out of Fabri-Tac. I think I may need to run to the store today and get some more. I pretty much only use it for covers and attaching some embellishments. I probably should not be doing this right on my piece, huh? Because it would be just like me to drag the piece through the glue. Whoops. See how gracefully I did that? I think I mentioned in another video how clumsy I am. My mother tells me I get it from her. Okay, so plenty of glue. These are the pieces that are going to hold your book together and your pages in your book. Hold on, that was not the cover to the glue. So you want to make sure that they're well stuck down. Okay, so you're going to center this in the middle and along this line that you drew. Again, you do not have to be super, super duper fussy. You just want to get it about where it goes. And look at that, I got glue. There. Okay. And then use your bone folder, a Teflon bone folder. If you use another type, it might stick to it if you have one. And just make sure that's firmly pressed down. Okay. Good. Now, you have these two pieces, and again, you're going to use, I can never tell which is which. Okay, so that's the shorter. So these are going to go like this, obviously upside down. Let's go ahead and we're going to do the exact same thing. And this is why you extended your center lines below and above, because you want to be able to see them. If you're using light paper and you used a dark line, you probably could see it through the Tyvek, but I drew my line pretty light and I'm using a very dark paper, so no way I could see it. And somehow I seem to have pushed my little trash can that I have beside me pretty far away. I'm having to lean to put these in. I'm going to pull it over. There we go. And again, let's get that out of the way. Am I the only one who has any cereal that I have in the house is sitting in a bag because I took the box pretty much immediately? I have another bottle of this around, but that one's not full either. All right, since this is leaking out a little bit, I'm just going to go ahead and put it here. Just inking up both of these at once to try not to waste the big globs of glue that come out of the bottle. This Fabri-Tac is not inexpensive, but fortunately it lasts me a long time because, like I said, I don't use it for too many things. Noticed this morning that Joann's has a pretty good coupon going for today, so I think I'll just run down there and pick up some more. All right, get that out of the way. And again, this is going to be on the line, which I missed a little bit with the Tyvek, but that's okay because there's another piece of Tyvek. Oh, I hope I didn't put that the wrong way out. Did I? I might have. No, that's fine. Okay. Whew, that's a relief. All right. Hope my head didn't just get in there. Okay. And let's go ahead. Yep, those are good. All right, and then the other piece of Tyvek goes here, like that. Okay. And again, we're going to put the glue. Come on. Actually, what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for that glue to come down in the bottle, I'm going to add a little tape here. We want to make sure that your spine is nice and strong. So I'm going to just put tape here. And here. Even though there's going to be glue, I'm just going to add a little extra adhesive, doesn't hurt. Okay, that looks like that. I would say we are definitely at the end of this bottle. Okay. Oh, put it down right on the tape. That was not very smart. And then just go ahead and center this one. Looks like I might have cut it a little large. It's overhanging, but that's okay. And you really want to make sure that it's well adhered. And I've got a lot of seepage coming out, but that's okay. Nice thing about Fabri-Tac is it's kind of rubbery and it comes up easily from where you don't want it. And of course we're going to be adhering all this, so it doesn't really matter if it gets some glue on it, since we want it to stick anyway. Okay. Just like that. All right, now this here is a little wide, but that's okay. I'm going to leave it. Actually, I think I'll put my glue first. What do I do with my glue? We're going to be cutting the corners off, but it's easier to go ahead and put the glue first. So I'm just going to run a piece of tape around the entire perimeter of both the cover and this outer edge. Okay, so I've got all the tape. I'm going to go ahead and burnish all the tape down. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to cut the corners at 45 degrees, and you want to leave about the height of the cardboard from here. I usually sneak up on it, honestly, because I'm afraid of cutting too much. So I tend to make 2 or 3 cuts across those corners. They make a little ruler that helps guide you in making these cuts. And I keep thinking I should get one, but I don't have one, so I'm just eyeballing it. There we go. Okay. Now, before you start taking off tape and folding up your corners, you want to try to sort of pre-fold everything. So I'm going to get a little stylus here and just run it along my cardboard. Get those out of the way. And here. Okay, like that. And then take your bone folder. I probably should have cut off that extra Tyvek, but that's it. You'll measure more carefully than me. And just gently give these a head start, sort of, so they are pre-trained to fold the way they're going to have to fold. A lot of times I make my covers first before I start anything else because I don't particularly like making covers. I just don't find it fun, but if you're going to make books, you need to make covers, so it's a necessary. So then I'm just going to pull all of this over. Just give this a really good fold so that it's easier to do. Right. Okay, now we're going to start with the long sides. So you gotta take off, actually have to take off the side, the 2 sides and 1 long edge on the cardboard, and then just a long edge on the cover. Right? And I like to use my bone folder to just make sure it's really snug up against the cardboard and just sort of push it over. If you like to use your hands to pull it over, that's fine. That works just fine. Whatever works for you. Just want to make sure it's nice and tight. Okay. And this process here, while it's not my favorite, goes a long way towards determining how good your book looks. If you've got a sloppy cover, it doesn't matter how well you did the inside. It's just going to be a bad first impression. So then we're going to do the other long side. And I have once or twice in the past made a cover and just felt I had not done a good job and ditched it and made another one. Because I didn't go to all the work to make the inside just to put it in a poorly made cover. Everything is nice and tight and well stuck down here. Okay. All right. Good. Now, before you do the sides, I left quite a bit there. There's a little bit that hangs forward. I don't know how to describe it. Let me see if I can find like here. You see that where the corner is not right there? So what you need to do, let me see if I can do this while I'm reaching quite so far in front of me, but I just use my fingernail and my bone folder to sort of tip it in. Do you see that? You need to do that on all of the corners before you fold up that side piece. Like that, okay? And then you'll get a much sharper corner by doing it that way. Okay, perfect. I'm going to do the same down here. I'm going to just fold that in. This one's, I didn't do a very good job there. That's a little large, but that's okay. I got it. Let me see. I think I got it. Okay. And like that. Okay, now we have a nice flat cover. All right, you want to really burnish well right up against these cardboard pieces, okay? And then you're just going to gently, you don't want to tear anything. This artisan cardstock's pretty sturdy. It doesn't tear really, but some do, so you want to be very careful when you're doing this stage where you're bending up the pieces. You don't have to bend them all the way at this point, but give them a good head start. Okay, there we go. There's our cover. Now, one thing you can do when you're doing a Tyvek cover is you can actually back fold them, which is, I don't go all the way, but I go a little ways, and that does help with the flexibility of the book when you're opening and closing and turning pages. Okay, now, the next step is to attach this lining piece. Now, I've given you a full-sized lining. If you prefer, you could just do a small lining here and then mat with your mats. Up to you. You'd certainly save paper if you did it that way, but I'm going to do the full-sized lining. So I need, whoops, let me put that over there. I'm going to do the same thing with this. Put tape all around the perimeter and then glue on the inside. Now this is the piece that your binding is actually going to attach to in the middle. So you really want to make sure that you don't skimp on getting this adhered down. So we're going to go ahead and, because if this fails, your whole book's going to fail. Here, whoops, and you're going to put tape here on the cardboard on the inner edge. Just like we did before, and then a little bit more here. Put glue here. I should have put my glue upside down, so I got to take a minute. Okay, let's see. Let's try this one. Oops. That's good. Okay. Let's get the tape off. And go ahead and glue. Now I'm using the cardstock. You could use your pattern paper if you want, as long as it's a strong paper, because again, your spine is going to attach to this piece. This is ultimately the final hold for that spine. So plenty of glue. Okay. And now pull the backing off of this piece. And now we're going to center this piece on the cover. And I can't get my head over it, so I'm going to do my best. Oh dear, well, I'm quite short on that side. See, there's nothing I can do about that. It's already down, but that's okay because this is going to be covered by a mat. You'll do a better job, right? Because you'll be able to get your head over it. Okay, just rub that in, especially around the edges of the cover. All right. Now, before you bend this up, because this is, you know, the last sort of visible bit, I would let this dry for a good half hour. So burnish it well and push it up against the pieces of cardboard. Make sure it's down well, and then let us set it aside, and we'll be back in about half an hour and see how we're doing, and then fold it up and attach the binding. Okay, so this has had plenty of time to dry. I'm going to go ahead, and these are the mats that I have for that. Oops. Get some things out of the way. Let's see if we can fold this up. Again, you're going to gently score it. Rub your bone folder in the crease, and just gently work it back and forth. And you want to bring your front and back up to vertical so that you have a nice cover. Again, this artisan cardstock is good stuff. It really doesn't tear, but I have had covers tear with other brands, so you want to be sorry, that's my cat again making noise. Okay, you would think I had a German Shepherd in the room sometimes. Okay, there we go. So there's our cover, and you can see it has a little bit of a curve to it, but it's nice and sturdy, even though it doesn't have cardstock in the spine. It's fine. Okay, I'm just going to give it a little bend that way, that way. Okay, now to make the binding, you're going to need your binding pieces. Set that aside. And here are my two binding pieces, and they are, let's see, 1 7/8 by 4, and this is going to be 4 by 1 1/8. Okay, let me get my scoreboard. There. Okay, now we're using 3/8 of an inch fins, so we're going to score this at 3/8 and at 1 1/2. Or you can just score it at 3/8, turn around and score it again at 3/8. Either way, get the same result. Okay, like that. All right. And this is Laura Dennison's Stack the Binding that we're using. So we're going to do 3/8 and 3/8. Okay. All right. So, see that? Okay. And let me get that out of the I am going to use 1/4 inch tape